There's a vicious pattern that you might not see in your relationships. Even when the relationship is healthy, you still feel anxious. You still feel like they're going to leave. You still feel like you're too much or not enough. And in the toxic ones, you overgive. You chase. You lose yourself from trying to keep someone from pulling away from you. And no matter what you do, how hard you try, you keep feeling abandoned. But what if I told you that the reason that you feel abandoned all the time has nothing to do with the person that you're with, regardless if they are toxic or healthy, and instead everything to do with something much deeper? Something that started long before you even knew what love was. This isn't about your partners. This is about the wound that you've been carrying your entire life, quietly shaping every relationship that you've ever had. And in this video, I'm going to first break down the 5 biggest signs that you have an abandonment wound, and then why you have it, which unconscious actions you're doing that keeps feeding into it, and then what to do about it to actually heal and stop these vicious cycles. So let's begin with the 5 signs that you are carrying an abandonment wound. You may not call it specifically abandonment, but if you've ever felt any of these, it's likely that it's still living inside you. So number 1, you panic when people need space. You instantly feel like something's wrong. Your thoughts spiral, your body tightens up inside, which then takes you to number 2. You overanalyze every single silence. A delay in a text or a shift in tone sends you into anxiety. You start assuming that you've done something wrong. And number 3, you abandon your truth to stay connected. You say yes when you want to say no. You ignore what you need to keep the relationship stable. And number 4, you're drawn to emotionally unavailable people. You chase the highs of the connection and ignore the lows of the neglect. And lastly, number 5, you sabotage healthy love. When someone sees you, it feels too unfamiliar, too exposed. You pull away or even create chaos. Now, these aren't just habits, they're protective strategies. You're trying to prevent pain that has already happened, but never got resolved. So now let's look at why this abandonment wound is even there to begin with. Now, this wound isn't created from someone just simply walking out the door. Sometimes it's more subtle, but just as deep. So the first origin of the abandonment wound is that you experienced physical abandonment growing up. Maybe it was a parent that left, a divorce, a death, a separation. You grew up developing the belief that if they loved me, they would have stayed. And therefore, you are not lovable because they left. The second cause of abandonment is emotional abandonment. Maybe you had parents that were there, but emotionally unavailable, absent, always distracted, dismissive, or reactive to you. They weren't there emotionally, maybe overworking, maybe always fighting. You got the message from all of that my feelings don't matter, that I'm not worth it for them to give me the attention and love that I need. And the third cause of the abandonment wound is conditional love. Love came to you with strings. You had to be good, quiet, helpful, or successful to earn affection. And so therefore you internalize that I need to perform to be lovable, which then means that if you're not performing, if you're not giving, if you're not the good child, the good son, the good daughter, the good partner, being worthy of love, you will lose love. And in all 3 examples, there's the message that gets locked into your subconscious and nervous system that there's something inherently wrong with me. And that's where the shame wound also takes root as well. And once that shame takes root, you no longer believe in your right to be loved just for being yourself. Now, this next section is critical because these are the 8 unconscious habits and behaviors that you're currently doing that is actually perpetuating the abandonment wound and keeping it alive inside you. Because when you develop an abandonment wound, it doesn't just sit there. It keeps shaping how you show up in relationships, not just in how you treat others, but how you treat yourself. And most of it is completely unconscious. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually keeping the wound wide open. So here are the 8 patterns that you need to begin to stop. Number 1 is you ignore your inner signals to maintain connection. When you feel that something is off, you override your gut instinct to avoid conflict. You stay silent to keep the peace. You abandon yourself to keep them from abandoning you. Number 2, you minimize your pain to protect others. You downplay and dismiss your own feelings and needs. You tell yourself that I'm being too sensitive. It's not a big deal. But deep down inside, you're starving for care. This trains your nervous system to believe that I don't matter unless I make others comfortable. And number 3 is on the other side of what I just said, which is you aggressively aggressively, sometimes ragefully fight like hell to force your partner to hear you, to see you, to stay with you. These behaviors can get very intense and even abusive, even though you don't mean to. And I want to take away the judgment here because it's so easy for people to judge these aggressive types. And so what you have to understand is that these more aggressive, extreme behaviors, like the shouting, the screaming, the cursing, or even the hitting, all of it matches the intensity of the pain that they first experienced growing up. So the bigger the pain, the bigger the behavior to manage it. It's simple math. And I work with a lot of clients that have this behavior with this abandonment wound. And I'll talk more about that later. Moving on to number 4. You confuse intensity with love. You chase the highs and the lows. You feel drawn to the people who are hot and cold. And that's because the unpredictability mimics or mirrors your childhood. And it literally feels like home. When love is calm, you feel restless. When it's chaotic, you feel alive. But that's not love, that's survival. Number 5, you try to rescue or fix others to feel safe. You become the emotional caretaker, the helper, the problem solver. Because if you can just be useful, maybe they won't leave. But deep down, your worth is still hooked to their need for you. And number 6, you unconsciously recreate the original wound. You are attracted to, drawn to, magnetized to the emotionally unavailable partners. Why? Because part of you believes that if I can finally get them to love me, maybe I'll prove I was never unlovable in the first place. So you repeat the pattern not because you're broken, but because you're trying to rewire the past. And number 7, you self-sabotage when love feels too safe. Even when they're kind, present, steady, healthier, and safer, something inside you starts to pull away. You start arguments, you withdraw, you question everything, not because it's wrong, but because safety doesn't feel familiar. And your body would rather recreate abandonment than sit in the unknown vulnerability. And the last one is number 8, you outsource your self-worth. You wait for someone else to tell you that you matter, and so you become who they want you to be. And you only feel okay when they choose you. All of these behaviors keep the abandonment wound alive because the moment they pull away, your worth disappears with them. These aren't personality flaws. They're just simply nervous system strategies. They are how you learn to survive love that felt unpredictable, conditional, or completely unsafe. But what kept you safe then is costing you love now. And this is why even a good relationship won't heal the wound, because you're still living from the part of you that's bracing to be left again. And here's the thing you have to understand. You don't just think about the abandonment wound. You feel it, and it can literally feel like death, which is why you fight like hell or even sacrifice yourself to prevent it from happening. You feel it as a chest tightness during emotional distance. Your breath shortens. You brace for disconnection. You feel pressure over and over rising in your body. Other symptoms might be dissociation. You shut down during conflict. You go numb. You leave the moment. You leave your body because it doesn't feel safe to be in your body feeling. Sometimes it's just the gut anxiety that's right there in the stomach, always tense and therefore always hyper aware of everyone's mood. Whether it's the body symptoms or the racing thoughts, they are all echoes from the little child inside you that says, "Don't leave me again. Tell me please that I'm safe. Show me that I finally matter." But the person that you need to get that from the most is yourself, and we'll talk about that next. So here's how we can begin shifting and actually healing this. To stop chasing safety from other people and start giving it to yourself. And it starts with number 1, you have to build a relationship with your body and emotions. You gotta get out of your head and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And where does that feeling show up in the body? You have to teach yourself to trust in your body's intelligence to feel and release through the fear and pain. And there's no doubt about it, this is extremely hard work. And it is what I guide my clients to do over and over, like training their muscles in the gym. And the second thing that you have to do is start validating your emotional experience. Instead of judging your reaction, witness it, observe it, notice the emotion in your body, and say to yourself that this is just an old pain showing up and it makes perfect sense. Again, come back to step number 1. You have to allow yourself to feel. You have to learn to allow the feelings to be there. Now, number 3 is to reclaim your truth. You need to begin practicing, even if it's baby steps, speaking what is real for you. Even if your voice shakes and your chest panics and tightens, you have to start honoring what you want, what you need, and what you feel without an apology, without trying to control somebody or please them. And number 4 is you have to begin reparenting the part of you that was left behind. This is subconscious work. You You have to picture in the moments of emotional stress, try your best to picture, to visualize the younger version of you that originally felt this growing up. You can talk to them. You tell them that I see you, that your pain is real, and I'm here to hold you through the pain, and you won't have to be alone with it. Over time, practicing this, you will develop safety within yourself, and not from finding someone that will never leave you or fighting like hell to prevent someone from leaving you, but from becoming the very person who will never abandon yourself. So here's the thing, you're not broken. You are not too much. You are not hard to love. You are just left to experience these old pains alone growing up. And now you're relearning how to hold yourself through that pain without abandoning the parts that were never held. And that's the work. And that's how you stop feeling abandoned, even in a secure, healthy relationship. But when you're ultimately secure within yourself, it doesn't matter what your partner does. Your love is here. Your home is here. And that is the ultimate freedom.